even if I'm not 65 years old. Just make it nice and simple. Let's just have Medicare for everybody.
Yeah!
Well, that's the way they have it in Canada. They ration in Canada, and people wait for 3, 4 a year. Can we be polite? I'm stating a fact. As a matter of fact, what is evidence of that fact? Number one, you go there and ask people who need a test how long they wait. But what is evident is all these thousands of Canadians who come down to the United States to get tests because they can get them right away. So I don't think that's what we want. Plus that, just like in Canada, the government doesn't pay doctors. Ask any doctor or ask our local hospital in Lowell or any of them around whether or not the government plan is paying them even what their costs are. They'll tell you they are not. So what that means is that the private sector, one reason why insurance costs are as high as they are, is that those of you who have private insurance are being cost shifted onto by the government plan to pay for those who aren't paying it. And we have to change that.
Yeah. Good morning, Mr. Herger, and thank you for having the courage to hold these town meetings.
Thank you. Thank you for the privilege to be able to fight the battle in Washington.
My biggest concern is what's left out of these bills. And you touched on one of them, which is tort reform, but there's no clear definition. Another point is there's no clear definition of whether or not our tax dollars are going to be covering illegal aliens and their families. But I think the most egregious thing I've heard was what I heard last week, that the bill that was passed by the House of Representatives is full of blank spaces which are going to be filled in later by the administration. So even if you vote to take something out, they can stick it back in. To me, that's like giving a blank check to Congress and then asking you to fill it in, and I'm supposed to trust you. I don't buy that.
Well, don't trust government, and what you're saying is exactly right. There's an 1,100-page bill that came before Ways and Means, in addition to 300 pages of amendments, has continual gaps to be filled in later. And it's basically by whoever the administration is to fill that in. And you're absolutely right. That is not the way to run a government. It's certainly not the way to come up with a new health care plan.
Thank you, Congressman Herger. I want to thank you first for making Medicare more efficient and the work that you've done in that area. In your honest opinion, what is this nation's ranking in infant mortality in this world? Our nation's ranking compared to other nations. Thank you.
You know, health care is far and away the most complicated issue I've ever dealt with. Now, this is something that comes up often. You hear on one side people are very happy with our health care. You will hear that we have the best health care system in the world. And then on the other side, there will be infant mortality. There's a number of things that we are higher in. I think what you really have to look is how you compare apples and oranges. Because we live in a society that, as the gentleman alluded to earlier, we have millions, tens of millions of illegals here that come here. We have a strata here of people who are not homogeneous, if you will. And we're being compared many times with countries like Switzerland and Europe, where they tend to be more home. So we have a lot more problems this way. But I'll tell you, and so these are part of it. On illegal aliens, you know, unless we're Native Americans, we came from someplace. But the key is whether we came here legally or not. And those who have come here illegally shouldn't be here, and we shouldn't be paying health care for them.
Good morning. First off, I would like to thank you for sponsoring HR 1207 to audit the Federal Reserve. And I have a question that involves healthcare. I was wondering if you were going to sponsor Obama's plan to put 400,000 military troops on the streets to do mandatory inoculations for the swine flu.
It's true.
It
is so.
I want you to forgive me. I didn't exactly understand the question. I understood something about swine flu and whether we're going to vaccinate people.
Yes. I'm talking about the news article that came out a couple days ago about how Obama is trying to sponsor that to put Northcom on our streets in the fall for the swine flu outbreak that has only killed 1,200 people across the world.
Okay, I need to look into what you're saying. I'm not that familiar. We do know, we're familiar starting last year that we have the potential of a swine flu problem. Every year we get flu, and every year tens of thousands of people die of just the regular flu in the United States. This has the potential of being much more severe than what normally would be there, and we need to be taking every step we can to be prepared, to make sure we have vaccine, to do all that, and I'm certainly in support of that. I need to look into the specific legislation that you're referring to answer your question.
Yes, but martial law in general.
Martial law?
Is unconstitutional.
He's going to use it for martial law. It's true.
That part. Yeah, I'm against that. Thank you.
I'm Russell Jones
from
California. My biggest concern and the reason why I'm here today is because just recently I was diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, and this has essentially put me out of work and has disabled me. And the problem that I'm dealing with is dealing with the insurance companies and trying to get the coverage to be able to treat this problem, so that way I can rehabilitate myself and return to the working community. And based on what I learned about this boondoggle that we have up here, I don't see this helping me. I see this hurting somebody like me. And I would wish that we can get legislation that would seriously enable somebody like me to seek the treatment I need, to be able to get rehabilitated, and not to have to fall in the government trap of disability and keep me covered like this for the rest of my life.
Well, this is exactly what we need, a healthcare system that'll do, that will fill in the blanks, those with either pre-existing health problems or those who have problems like you have, that we can deal with that. And I'm like you, I believe we can deal with it. We need to work maybe through pools, through other areas, through insurance like we have in automobile insurance today. But thank you very much for your comment, and our hearts and our prayers are all extended to you. God bless you.
Two points. One,
if we could just keep one point, if we could, we're trying to get around a long line behind you.
if you are against big government and high expenditures, that's fine. That's a totally valid position. But I think there is a certain level of hypocrisy among some of us here when our country spends $500 billion a year on the Pentagon, which is weapons of war, machines for killing, and we've seen what a disaster that has led to, and another $40 billion a year